Okay, let's get this party started. The first reader we have is Stella Velez. Is a writer from Auburn. She serves on the Creative Writing Alumni Chapter board and is a past organizer with the Chicanics Writers and Artists Association. Her writing examines family, the self, nature, and the strangeness of the body. On a rainy day, she can be found in the garden trying to find mushrooms. Everybody give it up for Stella.
My first poem is called A Homeless Encampment Cleared by Fresno Officials, which was the title of an article that was published in the Bee. Actually, recently the Supreme Court ruled back a ruling that makes it legal to arrest people who are unhoused, even if they don't have any place for them to go. And they said that it was not actually cruel and unusual punishment, but I would disagree with that, frankly. So this is that. Your hands are moving like small birds, cutting rivers into the heat of Fresno summer. Dense enough to hold, the sky settles on your shoulders close to the sweat-stained skin. Almond trees planted in straight lines stir dust in fine particles that clog the lungs and smog the eyes. Fresno wants you gone in the language of cities. Tongues swollen into the tongue, slicing cracked air, cracked hands, cracked earth. For confiscation, Fresno takes a body's worth of smoke, a fistful of stars, the old pain in the small of your back, the place and time of your birth, a picture of your daughter, the only one you own. Her small face, the front tooth missing like yours, reaches out through bulldozer tracks. You reach back, your soft arms aching as she settles in neat rows around you. Fresno's kind of been known to have really poor handling of that, particularly like taking people's documents, which can make it really hard for people then to find a job when they don't have their documents and have a criminal record. So my next poem, the pieces that I submitted for this were all about my exes. And so this next poem is about my partner, whom I love very much. Baby, I want to tell you a story. Baby, any story you want. Like syrup in the morning and the slow rise of yeast in a little glass jar. Like how a woman could love a prayer in the shape of a person. Like how love is a dead frog that you keep in the freezer for years. My body is frostbitten too, and some mornings I want to be thawed and others I want to be frozen in time. Like right here where I hold the dawn in my palms and feel the warm moment between breath and heartbeat, the still space between star and sun, before the mountain catches light on her jagged edges. Baby, you are the dawn, blood red and soft on my lips, as soft as the wind or as soft as a story told in the dark moments before the sky opens to the newborn sun.
Wow, that imagery always blows me away every time I read poetry. Okay, the next reader we have is Stefan Leiva. Is a queer fiction writer and digital illustrator born and raised in Fresno. He enjoys writing, drawing, reading, playing video games, and spending game nights and collaborative writing sessions with friends. Stefan is working towards becoming a creative writing instructor at the university level, as well as a novelist writing queer young adult fiction. All right, everybody give it up for Stefan.
So I will be reading an excerpt from the first chapter of my thesis, currently titled Lucifer's Exception. It is 2011 in the fictional small city, big town of Mayfield, California. The story centers around Lucifer Vega, a 16-year-old transgender gay boy, trying to survive the last couple of years of high school until he can leave Mayfield, when he can truly start being happy. This excerpt takes place while Lucifer waits for his first student council meeting as the new treasurer. He is explaining to a couple of his fellow council mates why he uses the girls' locker room if he's a guy. I am a transgender guy. I I say. Both of their eyes light up with annoying curiosity, but I ignore it and continue. The school doesn't allow me to use the boys' locker room. Not that I would want to. I'd feel more like a freak show if I changed in front of the other guys, not to mention them being gross about my chest. Kennedy and Megaris gaze at me like I'm a unicorn and ask various questions, from ordinary to personal to downright uncomfortable. I give them the bare minimum. Look, it's not something I go around advertising, so I'd appreciate it if this could stay between us, I emphasize. I just want to be treated like any not transgender guy. Megara and Kennedy swear themselves to secrecy, and it's a promise I hope they'll keep. I've learned to not have high hopes. The topic swings away from me when Kennedy mentions a time a former gay person came to our church to give a speech, and it was so sad. The girls jump into that conversation, allowing me to turn back into furniture wearing thick glasses. More girls shuffle into the classroom, not paying me much attention since they're too busy talking to each other. The fear of being the only boy in the student council weighs heavier on me with every new person that walks in. I try to distract myself with Song of Achilles, and it works, until the sound of obnoxious singing rings through the hallway. I hope that it's just another student passing by the classroom, but the thought is dashed when it enters the room. It turns out I'm not the only boy, and now I wish I was. If I could write you a song and make you fall in love, I would already have you up under my arm. A guy slides into the room, belting one of the worst songs that played the radio last year. He's wearing sunglasses indoors, which I already hate, especially because it's been cloudy all day. He dances over to the other side of the table, greeting everyone in the tune of the song. He seems to enrapture that side of the table, Megara included. By the time he starts doing the synthesizer part, I've made up my mind. He is my least favorite type of person. Thankfully, I'm wallpaper to them. Deep into the chapter I'm reading, I realize the singing has blissfully stopped and I'm at peace, until I look up and see the boy's face peering over my book cover. The shock causes me to jump in my seat, making him laugh. Hate. We should probably pay more attention to what's around you if you're gonna read that hard, the boy says. There could be a fire, and you would be the last one to notice. He runs a hand through his perfect wavy brown hair, and somehow doesn't mess it up. This irritates me for no reason, but it just does. Good. It'll save on cremation costs, I reply, looking down at my book. Huh, that's dark. You must be the edgy type. Although you don't wear enough black for that, he responds, pulling up a chair to sit backwards in. These type of guys are the worst because all they care about is attention and pushing your buttons for more attention. I'm not planning to give him either, so I respond with an eye roll and return to Achilles. It doesn't last because I know he's still hovering in front of me. What are you reading? He's 3 inches away from the cover, yet he's asking me this? He's trying to mess with me. Song of Achilles, I answer flatly. Yeah, I know that. I saw the cover, he says. Then why did you ask? I scream internally. It sounds like something out of Harry Potter. Oh, Hughes, I bet you're a Potterhead, right? You totally got the look going on. All you need is different frames. This fly in my ear somehow knows all the wrong things to say. I don't do Harry Potter. And the fact this guy can't tell Greek mythology from fantasy wizards is appalling. Or he knows exactly what he's doing and is waiting for me to get riled up. I'm not playing that game. I have more in common with the guys that smoke under the bleachers than any Potterhead, I reply, attempting to look occupied with my book to see if that'll make him go away. If only. Ah, I get it. Pothead, Potterhead, that's funny, he says before standing up. I'm going to steal that. That snapped me up from my book and I glare at him in disbelief. I think Angela reads Harry Potter. Hey, Angela. The pest walks away over to the girls on the other side of the table. I hear a malformed version of my joke spill from his mouth and he gets a big laugh. He has the gall to look at me afterwards with a smirk. My nails claw the plastic cover of the book, wishing it was his smug eyes. Thank you.
There could be a fire, you'd be the last one to know it. That works. Okay, so the next reader we're going to have is Analaura Flores. It is in her 2nd year attending Fresno State. Excited to pursue a career in education alongside exploring her Mexican culture, she largely expresses intimate moments from her childhood, navigating both the uncomfortable and the redemptive through her writing journey. Now give it up for Analaura.
Thank you, Eddie. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Last year was actually my first year writing creative nonfiction, but with amazing instructors and inspiring classmates, I've really found a liking to it. So, if it's alright with y'all, I'll be reading 3 of those pieces, those first pieces of mine. The first one being Sangre Café, Brown Blood. At times, stealing dad's stories, the succulent taste of the punaku from La Plaza brushed my lips, fleeting souvenirs. As if I visited the motherland in my lifetimes, I feel the airless heat of Veracruz's tropics and the white linen against my sticky arms. Sometimes I see shadows of green, white, and red in Mom's veins as her knuckles disappear in her fresh masa. Mostly I wonder if my great tias smile when Mom pulls my long black hair into trenzas, or do they grimace when it's cut? My great tios laugh when they see me dine at the local Mexican joint with white servers and mild salsa. In the whisper of the árboles, I listen for their absent curses when I pronounce árboles wrong. Do they weep when I skip prayer, their tears filling the sky? Do they wish for my recognition as strongly as I yearn for their familiarity and their pride in me? Speak to me, I'd like to yell. Still, I search for their embrace in distant silence and hand-me-down memories. The next one, another short poem, I like to call Miss Manchas, meaning sunspots or spots on the face. I don't remember her name, but her sunspots burn in my memory. Mostly I think of her look toward my legs, as if I were made of waste. Bearing bangs too short for her round face, hair too thin for her head, and wrinkles too premature for her age, the white teacher gawked past my plaid shorts while I stood in front of her on the playground. Before she commented on my Mexicanness, I hadn't really noticed the hair on my body. As I handled the pink razor by myself, annoyance and pain intermingled to keep my mouth shut, as bright red dripped from the nick I sliced from my ankle. I would have been approached sooner, and would not have been made the white lady's fool if Mom hadn't waited until I was 11 to introduce shaving to me. Her cocoa butter stung. And the last piece I'll read to you is another short poem. A part of this was the one I did submit. The title is a little on the nose, The Matriarch. Her eyes crinkle now, yet still almond like the crop she harvested in her youth. Her skin, a dyed cotton. With a muddy mind, she asks me, "Are you still going to school?" Her hair peppered with a dentured grin and a limping gait, she asks again, "How was school?" An hour later, with knobby fingers that bear her Bible to sit us down for just 10 minutes. "School, you still go to school?" She forgets my name, placing girl instead. She comes for food, mostly to gift us goodwill treasures. She used to be a wanderer, a nomad of the bright valley, moving with the trabajadores, she said. Now, many times within a day, you and your sister still go to school? Her memory, I wonder now.
Her memory will wander now. Great. I like the inclusion of my Spanish in the book. Let's see. Next up, we have Sharon K. McClain. Finds it impetuous to write from her unconventional childhood, growing up in the beach cities of Southern California, alchemizing a painful past into healing and beauty. Themes prevalent in her writing range from trauma and grief to forgiveness and hope. All right, everybody, give it up for Sharon.
Happy to be here. Thanks for coming. Reading 2 vignettes about my childhood in the beach cities of Southern California, where I found impetus for my writing. Okay, this first one is called The Transfer. It's 1976, and I'm 16. I'm sitting on the bus bench at the corner of Western Avenue and Pacific Coast Highway. Such an ugly part of PCH, where it approaches one of the dirty, malodorous industrial areas of the South Bay, towards oil wells and body shops and strip joints and LA Harbor. It's really too late for me to be here. It's dark and the rush hour traffic is thinning, but there's still enough exhaust to sting my nostrils. The stream of headlights makes me dizzy as I stare into it, watching for the familiar round torches on the front of the bus. I hate buses and all that they bring with their strange ecosystem of sights and smells. But it's the only way I can get to my ballet class in San Pedro, which is a 30-minute drive by car from Redondo Beach, but an hour and 45 minutes by bus. 2 buses, because there's a 45-minute wait to transfer in this grimy part of town. I wear layers of baggy clothing as camouflage and to discourage the catcalls and disgusting proposals. But all this clothing can get hot in the summer. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since the green apple and the tab I drank right before the 5:30 point class. The throbbing in my head overtakes the lightheadedness. What is that car doing? A dusty, goldish Buick slows down, then slithers right up in front of the bus bench, which I never sit on because it's too close to the street and you can get grabbed, abducted. 2 men inside the car leer at me as disco music drifts out their window. Hey girlie, do you want to ride? I turn and run down the sidewalk against traffic towards the gas station half a block away, which looks almost as dangerous as the lurking Buick. My bulky navy blue wool coat slows me down. I decide to return to the bus bench, and in minutes, those curves are back, pulling up to the curb in front of me. The familiar surge of adrenaline blunts me, and just then I see the looming bus with its big glowy eyes clumsily careening towards the bus bench, forcing the Buick to drive on. Once on the bus, I'm still in high vigilance mode, constantly monitoring the passengers while trying to avoid eye contact. Too many times I've been propositioned by some creepy guy. The interior of the bus reeks of unwashed bodies and alcoholism, and I avoid touching the windows, glazed with greasy smudges where weary travelers have rested their heads. And this final piece is called Walking the Neighborhood. So much time spent on buses or walking to bus stops, I know the sidewalks intimately, where you can trip on an uplifted edge, or a spot where grasses push up and sprout through cracks, finding sun and air, even daring to bloom. I know the bus stops, the transfer points, which benches are splintered or might have old food or vomit on them, which bus stops are located near taverns with unruly and annoying customers, where there might be shelter to block the wind or rain. I know the sounds and smells of different neighborhoods. Tantalizing aromas drift out of certain houses at particular times of the day. The corner house at Avenue B and the Esplanade always has some kind of savory meal prepared around the time the yellow-orange sun slips behind the edge of dark blue ocean just across the street. The fake floral scent of fabric softener warmly drifts out of vent from an apartment on Catalina Avenue. A woman's sing-song voice corrals her children to the dinner table. I yearn for a home with these predictable dinners and rituals. A home with a washer and dryer instead of a trip to a laundromat, where theft and harassment frequently occur. Since our family is on-again, off-again homeless, I'm always on the lookout for a rental we might be able to finagle our way into, but eventually I look for room for rent signs when I realize the futility of relying on my parents to provide consistent food and shelter. Thank you.
Amazing descriptions. It felt like I was there. Okay, next up we have Celeste Jones. Is a multimedia artist and writer from Fresno. She spent her childhood growing alongside the pine trees of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Drawing from personal experience, Celeste's works often dives into the complexities of growing up queer, piecing together narratives that reflect the journey of self-discovery and nuances of sexuality. Let's hear it for Celeste.
Thank you. So I'm only going to read an excerpt of my piece to you today from Girl Meets Bison. But for some background, the main character, June, has just left her hometown right after graduation, taking off in a converted travel van on a solo trip to the western U.S. She's running away from a strange family dynamic and the confusion she feels about her own identity. By the time she reaches Yellowstone, she's disillusioned and frustrated that the trip hasn't changed anything inside of her. So I bring you to Yellowstone, where June joins other tourists, all trying to take pictures of bison. Every time June tried to line up a shot in openings, someone's unmonitored children got in her way. The lookout was wedged between two piles of rocks. If she stood on her tippy toes, she could just see over them. The view from over the rock was much better than that of the lookout. She could see long, rolling hills covered with bison. She tried to hold the camera over the pile, but it was no luck. And film was too expensive to risk while running out the savings. June tested the hold of the rock, but was met with mud and grit. Her face twisted while she shook off while she could. She backed up in defeat before stepping right back up again. What's life if you don't get a little dirty? June grabbed the rock and hoisted herself up. It was not a graceful climb. When she finally slid into a sitting position, she was atop many large rocks spaced by cliff-on gaps. The rock walls must have given the lookout some shelter, but from the top, the wind ran across June's face, leaving a chill in her bones. She looked into the viewfinder, trying to avoid glances at the cliff below her, adjusted the aperture, and snapped the first photo. June soon noticed a calf sitting near the edge of the field. She tried to zoom in, but the frame felt strange. From where she sat, it would be impossible to get the angle she wanted. Nothing about this trip had been exactly what she wanted. She considered her options. The cliff in front of her was much steeper than the one behind. If anything happened, all she would need to do was fall backwards. She moved to the right, wiggling each rock to check for stability. Converse were never meant to be climbing shoes, and with a little extra pressure, the sole of June's Converse slid right off the rock. Desperately, she flailed around, reaching for something to stop herself, but every surface was slippery and damp. Grains broke off into her hands, wedging them under her fingernails. She only stopped sliding down the rocks when she started rolling, flattening the grass of many hills ahead of her. When the incline stopped, so did June, jacket twisted in a mess, grass stains covering her jeans, ribs and ego bruised. Rolling off her back, she kept her eyes scrunched with pain. Commotion started to pick up behind her, but nothing clear. She considered the many ways she might escape the embarrassment, mentally calculating how long it would take to get in her car and drive off. When she finally opened her eyes, they were met with square pupils. Steam spilled out of the bison's mouth, spiraling up into the air like smoke curling off a stick of incense. June's eyes followed the rising steam until it fizzled out and gravity pulled her gaze back to the bison. The bison took a step forward, never once breaking eye contact. She could hear its breath and her heartbeat. The commotion behind June finally broke through the day's silence. Stand up! She shakily took a knee. Standing up felt unusual, like her head had fallen out of function of her body, sitting there heavy on top of a heartbeat. Okay, now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. But in between these two scenes, June makes it back to the lookout, escapes a persistent but cute park ranger, and makes it back to her van where her emotions start to catch up with her. They say we hold our trauma in our backs, and June's was loose, every knot untwisting as she folded over the van's steering wheel. The bison, the steam spilling from its mouth, the wet ground under her knees, the harsh sound of every breath. It was more alive than June had felt in months, maybe even years. She finally felt the life in her body, and the ache of her legs, and the stabbing pain in her ribs, and the sting of her palms. This trip was never about living life at large. It was about battling her desire to give up. It made her riskier and riskier. But when a bison-shaped consequence looked her in the eyes, June realized something terrifying. She wanted to live. Thank you.
Amazing. You had me completely invested. I'm gonna need the full document. Okay. The next reader, born and raised in the Central Valley, Angela Medina-Felix enjoys singing and dancing in her free time. Her creative nonfiction centers around restorative justice as she navigates themes of generational trauma, domestic violence, and healing. Give it up for Angela.
Thank you guys all so much for having me, and thank you so much for being here as well. This piece is part of my thesis, which I am writing right now because I graduate this fall. It centers around my daughter and events that have recently unfolded. It's titled Period. The ringing of my phone jolts me awake in the pitch black of my room. Hello? Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. How are you? my second night in Zambia, and I'm still jet lagged. It's 3:30 in the morning here, but she's 9 hours behind me. For her, it's only 6:30 p.m. I'm okay. I started my period. My mouth, the kitchen in which I serve my children wisdom, is dry. With her words, every dish has fallen, and choking, I try to swallow the shattered glass. Oh my goodness. How are you feeling? My legs hurt. She's 9 and a half. The guilt of being on the other side of the world when she needs me most conspires with the fear of what this all means. Mom? Yes, baby. I was wondering, do I put a pad inside my diaper? She still wets the bed. She is far from being a woman, yet I mourn her infancy and must come to terms with the fact that she is not a baby anymore. In this moment, I am confronted with the fear that the ways in which I have been harmed for the sake of being a woman will someday befall her. For although I know womanhood is not learning to fear what men are capable of doing firsthand, I cannot shake the dysphoria. You see, she is the daughter of a young mother who is the daughter of a young mother. I was 20 when I had her. My mother 17 when she had me. Just babies having babies. Yet, before I was ever a mother to another, unbeknownst to me, was that part of womanhood, this learning I've always been training to be a mother to myself. I'm still learning, birthing new versions, cradling myself through the growing pains. As we hold each other in the lulls of silence on the phone, I wish I could say, I'm sorry that you have to bear the burden of being the vessel in which I am learning to love myself through. Instead, I say, I love you. Mom? Yes, baby. Can I still have a period party? The fear subsides and I'm brought back to reality. She proceeds to tell me about the popcorn she wants with tahini, Takis, and hot Cheetos, Kool-Aid and Dracula slime. She asks if I can get little red throw blankets for her and her friends to cuddle up on the couch as we watch Turning Red on the TV. Of course, baby. I exhale with relief. I'm gonna make it the party of her dreams. We're getting red balloons and throw pillows too, and a banner that says, welcome to girlhood. Because that's just how we do it. Period. Thank you, guys.
Such a roller coaster of emotions, just wow. Okay, the next reader is Emily Peacock. Previously served as an editor of the literary journal Flies, Cockroaches, and Poets, where her work has been published. In the future, Emily aspires to make creative writing more accessible to incarcerated youth, and she currently volunteers with the Poetic Justice and nonprofit dedicated to healing through writing within the carceral system. Thank you. Give it up to Emily.
If babies were named guns and guns were named babies, there would be less guns on the streets and more legal babies. A brown AR-15 is killed by a metal baby. You would not turn off the TV. The news. You were a gun too. Wail your bullet tears. Fist the nitrate in your pockets. Open your trigger mouth and watch the sawdust pile up like a grave. I just like to open with that. I think I'll probably continue reading that at every reading until something changes in the world. But I would just like to say thank you for being here. Thank you to all the people who judged and decided that my work was worthy of being recognized. I am so appreciative. I'm mostly appreciative to the women who inspired the poem that I'm going to read next, the women and people. This poem is dedicated to the incarcerated folks at CIW in San Diego and CCWF here in Chowchilla. I work with Poetic Justice, as you might have heard, which is a nonprofit that teaches creative writing in prison, but really it's kind of just a way for these people to express themselves, which is something that's not an opportunity because you're really given to do. So yeah, this poem is dedicated to them, and I wouldn't have won this prize without the inspiration I felt reading their work, which I have all right here. So they write their work in these anthologies, and I'm glad to have them up here with me. So this is a series of letters out for the women at CIW and for incarcerated bodies everywhere. Jacqueline, you say you've written me a blanket, and I feel it now, how words can also be used for soft things. The concrete might dim like a butchery, but look up. I've written you so many night skies. I know it's not the space you hoped for. Cricket, if no one has said it today, I'm sorry the machine ate your money. I will not tell you the shiny box is a gift. Hold on to it for kindling. Misty matters. I also put too much pressure on sunsets. Ask her to put on the dress. I picture you tucked among snow boots and tea sets in the closets of marbled homes and estates. Funny how kids call everything play. They say the lungs grow last, the body's hiding place. Come rest. Remember that we too must be swallowed. Sierra, I almost had your name once. Sierra like the chainsaw mountain. I'm Emily because it looks good on a resume. What are the things we must not be called? I'm mountain, I'm lion. Call me beautiful again. Aoki Pink, how many woman dreams have I bought? I'm more nervous about how many I've sold. Why have we only been paid in more silence? Delina, tell me more. Until a room can be rubbed raw, until the steel becomes a clue. Tell me more. Amber, it's September, which means it's been almost 20 years. Don't think of what your hands have done. Name them myth, and their stories are no longer yours. In my story, there's sugary tea in a flask, in a darkness that sweats. My grandmother tells me I was born because I finally had a room. I want to thank you for the reminder, Amber, to wake up the throat, to consume the story which has wrote you. And I'm just going to real quickly finish with one of these poems from these women. It's just my favorite poem, and I feel like it deserved being read. It's called, let me find it. Hello. And this is by Angelina Sicone from Maple Bassett Correctional Center in Oklahoma. So I don't have the southern accent that's probably necessary for this poem, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's called Hello. Your bubble bath taking, mud pie making, Pez dispenser shaking, perfect in all of your curious, trusting in the goodness of the world, little girl. You are a lose your daddy, get beat by your new one, and lose yourself in anyone kind of girl. Even though you don't know it now. But that's not wrong. My never sure, insecure, prickly bird, darling girl, that's just the way it is. You will soon become a rash decision-making, good man's heartbreaking, abused, sustenance, and lie-taking, always lost anywhere, hate yourself with purple hatred stranger. But it won't be the end. You will become a face to the floor praying, showing up in ashy stain, edifying with the things she's saying, so much more than just pretending, full of love woman. And that is only act 1. Meet you in the next act. Love you. Thank you.
Amazing work. I don't even know why I pick up a pen when there's phenomenal work like that. Okay, the next reader is Jacob Simmons. Writes about the duality of socio-political humanity, drawing much from his experiences loving beautiful people and places with ugly ideas and history. His work can be read in Under the Sun magazine and New Limestone Review. He teaches high school in California's Central Valley and is trying to become less of a scoundrel every day. Give it up for Jacob.
Hello everybody, it's It's great to be with you. It's such a pleasure to get to read with such great writers, so thank you. I'm going to be reading part of my essay called The Elsewhere, or On Reading a Brief History of Time. It shares space with Stephen Hawking, so when it's Stephen Hawking's words, I'll point to space. Okay. In less than half a century, man's view of the universe has been transformed. And in less than a week, I'll be 40. Jesus, 40 years old. It's time to leave. Well, the theory of relativity put an end to the idea of absolute time, but it is time. I'm going to take off and buy a house like a sellout, despite how much I love it here. Gone, man. Disappear completely in a tremendous final burst of emission, equivalent to the explosion of millions of H-bombs. Kaboom! Even though I love California, like hyenas love wildebeest guts, like Gibson guitars love dirty deeds, done dirt cheap, like bell peppers love a little shade, like Uncle Trav loves the dead. And before I go, I'll sit for a moment and imagine a house with an oven that won't billow black smoke into the space between linoleum floors and popcorn ceilings every time pepperoni sizzles on a tombstone in the kitchen. I dream of windows with screens and walls without holes, a blue bin that recycles empties, a hot neighbor who likes to burn, and enough tree cover to protect me from the sun, a mere 8 light minutes away, while I smoke and watch Brando do the banana dance. Where am I dreaming? Find a spot where teachers make what I make, and houses cost a little over $100,000. Something not too far away. Proxima Centauri is about 4 light years away, or about 23 million miles. I dream of Rochester, New York. Only 0.00153893760700624 light seconds away. The space between here and there is nothing. Oh, I've been around the world. Well, I'm staying here. Mine is an American dream, devoid of Gadsden flags and shiny people and orthodoxy and Big Brother and those rubber testicles that hang on lifted trucks, trailer hitches, and AI. I am dreaming, though, because artificial intelligence and truck nuts are as ubiquitous as heart disease. And when I was much younger, I was told that Noah put tigers and camels and stegosauruses on a boat when a great flood washed over the earth. Well, God was confined to the areas that science did not understand. Well, if Noah did what the Bible says, then I can put California in a moving truck. I can pack up the Pacific Ocean and all the squid boats that shine at night on Monterey Bay, and the white sharks that eyeball the jigs that dangle in their path. Well, this does not sound like a very practical proposition, at least not in the immediate future. Well, I'll take everything that flutters in Butterfly Town and all the granite in Sierra Nevadas. Can God make a stone so heavy that he can't lift it? He can't. But I could take all the yellow grass under the red October sky that hangs above the Badger foothills, pick it up, strain out the rattlesnakes, hundreds of them, thousands, millions. Each galaxy itself contains some 100,000 million stars. Well, then I'll load up a galaxy's worth of Esperanzas, 3 burrito dinners. Well, in order to survive, human beings have to consume food. Well, my moving truck delivers. Fear not. No one goes hungry ever again. Burritos, stacked as high as the giant sequoias that waltz with my shadow at 10,000 feet while a lantern blazes behind me. Most sets of values would give rise to universes that, although they might be very beautiful, would contain no one able to wonder at that beauty. Well, the beauty stowed in the moving truck is wondrous, ambling eastbound in crayon and watercolor. Intelligent beings ask the question, why is the universe the way we see it? If it had been different, we would not be here, where the imaginary becomes real. A movable memory of a patio with jumbo bulbs that burn bright every night of the year, and the busted chairs we sit in to pass the guitar around and play Johnny Cash songs, and all the players who jam and stay up later than the moon. It is rather difficult to talk about human memory because we don't know how the brain works in detail. Well, my brain works in details. I'm going to take Chico Avenue and the mailbox that looks like a fish and the shitter that Dad and I towed across the lake one night while we slept and thought we were anchored, moored, dreaming. Maybe what we call imaginary is really more basic. And what we call real is just an idea that we invent. Well, let me get really more basic then and squeeze in the LA Farmers Market, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Bakersfield National Cemetery, and Boo Boo Records. And because Noah and his ark have inspired me so, when I get out of here, I'm going to take animals. All the animals in the Chaffee Zoo and set them free along the way to upstate New York. Let them loose to rule the jungles of Wyoming and Ohio, all of them except the elephants. The elephants will ride with me the whole way, all the way up, and I'll set them free in Rochester. Investigate the laws of the universe and ask about the nature of God. I've investigated these laws and this nature. And I know that when I finish unpacking, I'll sit and listen to the elephants tromp and trumpet along the banks of Great Lakes, just me in California, and the elephants at home in a galaxy called New York, looking up and waiting for the snow to fall forever. We find ourselves in a bewildering world